Jim Gordon here in the offices of the Richmond Sentinel. Time for another edition of Richmond Stories.
I'm Florence Gordon. I'm here on location at the Richmond Olympic Center. We are celebrating the Cara Hockey World Cup. We have players that have come from all over the world, 10 different countries, 100 teams, and we're really proud to be part of this whole process. With me, I have today Ross Fisher, Managing Director of the Australia Skate Company, and there's such a fascinating story that Ross represents. I wanted our viewers to be able to hear this story because I really think it's wonderful and worth listening to. Ross, I understand that you started an ice rink in Melbourne and that hockey was relatively new to most, and that you decided to take it upon yourself to take on this challenge to build the rink, gather up people to get involved, and that a lot of these players didn't even know how to skate, let alone play hockey. So you started with this vision. Do you want to explain to us how it all began and how you wanted to see it transpire over the different stages so that they could play hockey?
Yeah, well, Florence, thanks for having me. It's great to be here, and obviously for us, this whole tournament's been a fantastic experience, and it's going to have lifelong memories for a lot of the players that came. But yeah, the history of where I started out from, it actually goes back a way, 1996, where a couple of my children, my daughter was involved in a bit of figure skating. My son, who was about 6 at the time, he played a bit of street hockey, and then he wanted to start playing hockey, which started with inline hockey at a local rink. And I quickly grabbed onto the sport and realised that it was such an exciting sport to watch, and so I ventured out to look for a venue to start an inline hockey rink to start with, a roller hockey rink, which we did in 1998. And then not long after that, it was when I really wanted to start looking into turning the facility into an ice rink. So it was quite a long and lengthy process that got us to that stage where we eventually got a rink opened in July 1st, 2018. So we had some players that had played a bit of inline hockey before, but the programs that we then started, which was for player development, bringing players into the sport brand new, just exploded. And we have such a passionate group of hockey players that have just been playing for a couple of years now, which are a large part of the group that have come over to the Caha tournament.
Well, when you mentioned passion, I was here for the media reception earlier in the week, and a gentleman from Australia came by, and he was by himself, so I said, come on over and chat with us. I wanted, knowing a little bit of your history, I wanted to know more from a player's point of view. He was really passionate about this. He said, we lost our first game this morning at 8-1. He said it didn't matter. If you'd walked into our locker room, you would have thought that we had won the game. Mm-hmm. He said, we are so grateful and so joyous about being part of this. And another thing he expressed to me was the friendships that he had developed were friendships that were totally different from other sports that he had played. He said these are long-lasting friendships, and he mentioned to Ross that you run a very respectful operation, that if people come there just to be bullies or get too aggressive, you want no part of that. You want the players to learn how to play hockey and skate well and be part of something like this as a tournament. It's not about winning and losing, it's about the participation, which I can see you're very passionate about too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, our recreation league at our rink, so it's the biggest recreation league in Australia. We have each season, we run 3 seasons of league. We have over 60 teams each season, which adds up to nearly, and we've topped over 1,000 players a couple of times in the seasons. So it is one of those, from a management point of view, we want to make sure that when people come and play recreational hockey, that there's no fear, not wondering whether they're going to be bullied on the rink or like physically or anything like that. So we keep it pretty tight, a tight ship with that. So everyone's got to get up and go to work the next day, right? So
right, and we're not heroes. We're not playing professional hockey,
exactly.
not making a living at it. And you're
Yeah.
right, you don't want people getting injured, but
Yeah.
at the same time, they are learning what is important, and that is team spirit and
Yeah.
working together as a team. I understand you've got a junior league, a men's league, and a women's league. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So, look, the junior league for us and the women's league are really important parts of our program. I guess the adult senior stuff tends to take care of itself in regards to growth, and people just love, they fall in love with the sport immediately as soon as they find out about it. So, but one of our biggest growth areas, I guess, is the women's part of our program. We have right from entry level, where they come into our little junior development program, through to our recreational league. We've got over nearly 200 female players that play just in our leagues, and so that's led us to be able to launch a new league that'll start this year, which is what we call our Pro Winter League, which is for women only. And we'll have 3 really competitive teams there'll be a draft, and those teams will play a short season over our winter, your summer, and it's a fantastic development, again, a development opportunity for a lot of our younger female players who'll be age eligible, which is at 14, to play in that league. So yeah.
Which brings me to then, would you be working forward towards maybe developing an Olympic women's team? Because I know, like, the different countries that are doing this and attempted to do it, they do start out at a very low level of ability, but you can see through time that they do become much stronger and able to compete at that level.
Yeah, there's no doubt that in Australia in particular, our women's program has a much greater opportunity to play at Olympic level than our men's program, and that's no disrespect to the men's program.
No.
But it's a tough gig to try and get into that top level of hockey, and it is in the women's program as well. But I think the passion and the growth and the opportunity that we've got with our women's players. There's some very, very talented players, homegrown, that are coming through. A lot of our junior players that will hopefully, keep climbing the IIHF rankings. Our recent under 18 girls won their division at the IIHF World Championships, so that will push them up the rankings a bit further. So and as did our junior men's, they won their division as well. So the growth coming through, the talent coming through, it's a real positive sign for the sport.
Thinking back when you first started, how did you get the enthusiasm, get the word out? Do you want to learn how to skate? Do you want to eventually learn how to play hockey? Because at that time you were doing all of this, you really didn't have hockey other than street hockey or...
Yeah, well, we had, so having had the inline hockey rink, we had the inline hockey rink where we were running, it was more of a multi-sports centre that had sort of turned into multi-sport. So we had inline hockey, but we also had futsal and roller derby and indoor lacrosse, and there was like a small community of indoor lacrosse that played there as well. So we had a hockey population kind of there already, a base that we were able to grow off when we did open the ice rink. So we were, and then word just got out, and it was really, it's sort of like referral based almost. Someone would come and start the development program, and they're like, "This is so much fun," and they'd talk to a friend, and then they'd bring them down, and it kept growing. It kept growing from there. So
wonderful. It's
a busy Wednesday night. So Wednesday night's our development program night. So we have our junior development program where we have around 30 10, 11 and under kids that are involved in that program, that are just starting to get into some competition playing, and right through to senior development, where you know, the rink's full on a Wednesday night when we run our development programs. Yeah.
You brought different age groups here for this tournament.
Yeah.
What age groups are playing? I know you said you're not demonstrating big wins or anything, but it's the experience that they're going through right now. Was there 4 teams you brought?
We did. We have 4 teams. So we had to, the age divisions that we're in, they're not necessarily, so we've got one team, well, we've got 2 teams in a 35 plus division, but we've also got some players in that team that are younger than 35. But it sort of more suits where it's suited more where our teams are at, versus playing in a 25 plus division, which is a really, really tough division.
Sure.
And there's some hot hockey that gets played in that division, which is fantastic to watch, and fantastic for a lot of our players to see.
Well, you can see behind us, we're using this, the other side of the room is the actual games being played at the Cara hockey tournament, and you can see by the quality, I mean, they're great skaters and they can pass.
Yeah.
We saw some great hockey the other day where the goalies were amazing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But again, your players come out, they see this, it's an incentive for them to go back and say, we got to work harder, and because we want to do this again. And unfortunately, the Cara hockey tournament only happens every 4 years.
Yeah.
I know Ukraine was invited to come, and they were on the schedule, and it was in our scheduling on our newspaper. And at the last minute, they had to pull out. And we have a very large Ukraine community here in Richmond, and they were so disappointed.
Yeah.
Because they were planning to come out and support them and have maybe a celebration for them while they're here. So it was kind of disappointing to see them having to pull out too.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
with what's going on in the world today for them.
Yeah.
You brought families with you as well.
Yeah.
Have you been out touring around and trying to see a lot of the sites? And
Yeah, a lot of the players and like as you say, the families that have come along have turned it into a very much a travel experience, as well as for the players, the hockey experience. So personally, I've still been running around doing a little bit of organising and that type of thing. But myself and a couple of buddies went out to the Capilano Suspension Bridge yesterday.
Great.
And it was a beautiful day, and it was amazing to walk around. There, but I've been to Vancouver a half a dozen times, so I have been around a whole bunch of different places, Stanley Park and that sort of thing, which is just fantastic places. Very Melbourne-like.
it is
Vancouver.
in a way, yes.
Yeah.
I know we've been filming in Melbourne, and it is a beautiful city, right on the ocean, and you have very many similarities too.
Yeah.
I know that when I was talking to this other gentleman, it was interesting. He said people, as you said, were going to make a vacation. Some of them wanted to go up skiing after they finished their game, knowing they had more games to come. And he's going, no, don't do that, because you might get injured and then you won't be able to play hockey.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole focus is to stay and play hockey and then go injure yourself.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that our visitors are enjoying themselves. And I hope that the people in Richmond have been great ambassadors to welcome them and help them around the city if they need help. But you're in a great city.
It's one of the friendliest populations around, so it's
maybe yes. We kind of think so, but it has so many elements here to offer. We're a multicultural city, so we do have lots of different restaurants and activities and places to go and see. Well, Ross, I really appreciate you taking your time out to do this. In closing, is there any comments or encouragement for anybody who wants to attempt to do what you embarked on with this vision?
Well, I think, look, for us, this trip was really about an experience, and every single player that's come on the trip has got that in truckloads. So they're fired up, they're excited to get back home, get better. And look forward to 2027, wherever the next Cara Cup may be.
Right.
And I'm sure that will get some people at home really interested as well to have a look over the fence and see what they missed out on, and want to be a part of the next group. So
Excellent. Well, we welcome you and your teams to Richmond. I'm glad you were able to come out, and I'm glad you took part in this. We did contribute our whole newspaper this past week to the Cara hockey tournament, and a story on Ross in there, basically about what we were just talking about. Ross, thank you again, and safe travels home, and I wish you and your teams all the very best.
Thank you very much, Florence. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.